Hello and welcome to my podcast Jetzt erst recht, positiv leben mit Parkinson. My name is Kathrin Wersing and I live in Germany. 2.5 years ago, I started this podcast after I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. I wanted to find out how to live a positive and inspiring life despite the disease. Most of my interviews so far were in German language. But last year I also started talking to people from all over the world. And in this special series, Parkinson's Around the World, I also want to continue this year to find out how Parkinson's is seen and treated in other countries. My guest today is Annelien Oosterbaan from the Netherlands. And in fact, we don't live that far away from each other. Annelien was diagnosed at the age of 33. As a mother of 3 children, she was just about to start her career as a doctor when the diagnosis hit her. But Annelien is an impressive fighter, and in the last 5 years, she has not only thrown herself into Parkinson's research with great enthusiasm, but she has also had a 4th child. I can promise you, this woman will impress you. I hope you enjoy this interview. Hello, Annelien. It's so nice talking to you today. You are a podcast expert already because while I was preparing my questions for you today, I listened to some podcasts where you have already been a guest and you did a really good job. So I'm really happy to talk to you today and welcome to my podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and for these compliments.
Yeah, Annelien, I always like to start my podcast interviews with a positive question, and it's always the same. And therefore, I would like to ask you, what have you laughed about today?
Well, my day always starts with many laughs because of my baby daughter, because she is just so funny. And lately she's trying to speak a little bit, and it's really baby language, but it's really funny. She's like, tebu, 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 tebu. And I have no idea what it means, but she's really fanatic talking about tebu, tebu. And we really laugh about it every day and trying to understand her. But it's the day always starts with a big smile, yeah.
That is wonderful, yeah. That's really good when you have small children. I remember that time when they get up and they don't say, "Oh, mom, close the door again." But when they start laughing, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Big smiles.
True. For me and for the listeners to get to know you a little bit more, how would you describe yourself in 3 sentences?
Yes, well, I think I'm a very positive woman, so I always have a positive attitude. I'm really sporty. I love to do sports, ideally every day, but as much as I can. And I'm really a family person. Also, I really love being with my family and at best, of course, with my 4 kids. And yeah, I really have a fighting spirit. I never give up.
Yeah, cool, wonderful, yeah. And if we could start into your Parkinson's story, when did you get your diagnosis and how do you remember that time?
Well, I was 33 years old. I was in training to become a gynecologist, and I suffered from a pain in my shoulder, my left shoulder. And I really didn't think too much of it, but eventually it appeared to be Parkinson's disease, and it was really quite of a shocker. At that moment, I didn't feel sick at all or a patient at all. So for me, it was like, okay, now I know what it is, and let's just continue in life and just do what I did. And I didn't feel really that much different, but it was more the reaction of the people around you and how they treated me differently, like they were worried about me or starting to give me some advice, like, shouldn't you change your career path or this or that? And that started to make me think, okay, there's really something serious going on maybe. But so it was more the people around me that had problems with it in the beginning than I did.
Okay, yeah, that's special. And I also remember that sometimes I had to say to the other people, "Oh, don't worry, I'll be fine," because others were sometimes more shocked than I was when I was telling them.
I had that too. always they respond like, but that's for old men, right? Yes. And then I need to explain that part. Mm-hmm. Or they really respond like you're telling them you're dying or something like that. But it's not that bad. Of course, it wasn't nice to hear, but I had this fighting spirit from the beginning, and I thought I will just do the best as I can, and I see by day how everything will go. And I wasn't that worried from the beginning. No. Still am not.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I think it's always important to see how we can cope with Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. I remember that the first time I really felt in shock and I thought my life was over. But then I also had this idea, well, there must be a way to live with it. Yeah, and my way to live with it was to start this podcast. And since then, I've been talking to many inspiring people from all over the world. And it's really wonderful to see and to hear mm-hmm. what they do with their lives despite Parkinson's. And there's a lot we can do. But back to you. What has changed over the last years and how are you doing today?
Well, in the beginning, so I didn't have that many symptoms. I had this frozen shoulder, and after a couple of months of physiotherapy, it was gone, and I really didn't suffer from any symptoms, actually. I think after 1.5 years, I started to develop a tremor in my left arm. And by the time, it just got a little worse and worse and worse. So then it was the time I started medication and to increase and increase and increase. And after 3 or 4 years, when I didn't take my meds in the morning, I started noticing quite soon. But now I really notice in the morning when I have not taken my medication yet. So that's sometimes confronting, but still, as soon as I've taken my medication and it starts to work, I don't have that much symptoms, actually none. So that's still doing quite well, actually. But it can be really confronting when I do have a big tremor in my left arm. And then I feel it in my mouth and my speech as well. But that doesn't happen that often. Yeah,
yeah, that's good to know. Yeah.
So it is progressing, but it's not really a fast progression. And yeah, we'll see what future brings.
Yeah, nobody knows.
No.
But that's also a good thing. I really believe we can make ourselves crazy thinking what is going to be in 10 years or next year or next month, or we could just expect the best. And as we don't know, we can just expect the best. I decided for that.
Yes.
It's not working every day, but I try.
Me too.
Most of the time, that's
Most
true.
of the time, yes.
Annelien, you are also a doctor, a physician, and dived into research work for Parkinson's. And almost exactly 1 year ago, an article was published in the official journal of the International Parkinson and Movement Disorder Society with the title Unmet Needs of Women Living with Parkinson's Disease. And together with Sonia Mathur and 4 more co-authors, you looked at women's special needs and gender differences in Parkinson's disease. That sounds really interesting. How did you come to be involved in this?
Well, since I'm a young woman living with Parkinson's disease and also being a gynecologist from profession, it really felt like my calling to start doing research on this field, since I noticed that my hormonal fluctuations influenced my Parkinson's. And I had been discussing this with my neurologist, and they just really had no idea concerning this topic. So I thought, whoa. And I was really sure that this was a problem. So I started asking other women, and then I heard them having the same problem. So I thought, this is really, I need to do this kind of research. And then I dove into literature, and there's really so much unknown. And then I wrote a grant application, and I got the grant to study women's issues in Parkinson's. And then the research group of Professor Bastiaan Bloem in Nijmegen gave me a position in their team. And it's really exciting because it's really the best place to be in the Netherlands, maybe even in Europe, I don't know. But it feels really cool to be working there. And from there, it just started rolling. I've been invited to take place in some patient and expert groups, podcasts, as you know, like the WPC, YOPD patient and women's group. Yeah, I met all these great researchers and patient researchers, and we just started collaborations, among which the beautiful paper. Yeah, I'm really happy with it because it definitely shows there's much to do still, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And from your point of view, what were the most important points of the paper?
Well, most important to me was to get this topic onto everyone's attention, like specifically under the attention of the neurologists all over the world, because it's like a shout out for awareness concerning women's issues in Parkinson's disease. Because women get Parkinson's too. Women and men are not the same. We experience other issues. We are in need of other care, and that was just not known and not seen. And I think from now on, there are just more and more people aware of this, and also more and more researchers around the world getting involved in this topic. So I'm really happy with the paper, even though our conclusion is that there are so many gaps and controversies. And so in literature, we also point out things we can study in the future. And also important finding in the paper, I think, is that we as women with Parkinson's should unite and support each other.
Yeah, true, wonderful. You said that you found many gaps in what needs to be done to better understand and treat women with Parkinson's. Do you have an idea how to close that gap, or what you could do or what we could do together?
Well, it's just a gigantic research gap. Like there's just almost nothing known, and the things that we do know just are all controversy. So that paper says the one thing and the other paper says the opposite. So it's just, where to begin. But this makes doing research on this field really exciting also, because it's just like you can do anything. But also it makes me quite sad because it's a topic that has been neglected up till now. But my specific interest from being a gynecologist is, of course, specifically the impact of hormonal fluctuations on the Parkinson's symptoms, and also the influence of pregnancy on Parkinson's and the other way around. So that's what I'm diving into.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I'm looking forward to get some results. But I'm also a woman, and I think that I would like to be a part, of course, too. And if any other women are listening now who feel they would like to contribute to the topic, what would you recommend to them or to us? What could we as women do?
Well, I had this Dutch survey on women's issues in Parkinson's disease. The enrollment closed the end of December, so a couple of days ago. So you cannot contribute to that, but also with a group of researchers, we have made the Women's Issues Survey on Michael J. Fox platform. So you can go to the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and then the research survey on women and Parkinson's is also available there. And it would be really great if as many women in the world as possible would fill up the questionnaire, the survey. Now we start with part 1, but there will be other parts because it's a lot we want to know. So there will be a part on pregnancy. This one is the more general part. And then there will be a part on menstruation, and later on also on menopause, perimenopause. So it depends on your life stage, of course. But if women want to contribute, they can go to the Michael J. Fox survey, please. That would be nice. And in the future, I think it will be finished. I want to launch it at the WPC conference next year. It will be my registry on Parkinson's and pregnancy. So every woman in the future with Parkinson's becoming pregnant, I would love to have them in my registry. It will be a patient-driven registry, so the women themselves can register and fill up their pregnancy information. Of course, also the information concerning their Parkinson's symptoms, medication use, birth outcome, all those kind of things. And so we can finally conclude some relevant things concerning the influence of pregnancy on Parkinson's and the other way around, and really properly inform women in the future that consider having a baby with Parkinson's.
Yeah. Because that is really a big problem. I remember talking to 1 or 2 women who also got children while they had PD, and they said that there was really nothing. And even the doctors, they were confused and didn't know what to say, what medication to take, or what risk is for the baby and the mother or not. So it was really a really difficult decision and difficult time for them. And I think it's really important, especially for young women, to get more information about it. Yeah. Wonderful. We will put it in the show notes, the links to the survey, and whatever you want to share, we just put everything in, and so women can have a look, and men, of course, too. Yeah, so thank you for all the information about these topics. It's really interesting, and wonderful that you are a part of it. Let's talk about Parkinson's and family. Annelien, you are 39 years old and you received the diagnosis at the age of 33, you said, and you have 4 small children. You must have a busy life, right?
Yes, it's quite busy. Yes, I also work full time, every day, and I try to manage also taking care of the 4 kids, and the oldest go to school, and then I have a babysitter. The other one goes to daycare a couple of days, but still, it's quite a busy schedule. And but I really love it because I love my kids. The energy it takes, they give back more than it takes. And also my job, I love my job, especially also the research part, because to be able to do something for other women with Parkinson's just gives me so much energy that it's not heavy, not at all.
Okay, yeah, wonderful to hear that. Your father was diagnosed with Parkinson's just before you. That is very special about your story. Mm-hmm. Have you found a way to deal with it together? Is it more difficult for you that your father is involved as well, or is it maybe a help?
Well, I think really we can support and understand each other better. And we help each other in a way. He is older than me, of course. He is a little more progressed in his Parkinson's symptoms and disease. But I can really understand him, understand what he's going through. And also the same for him to me, and always tells me I am like his example to get motivated to move, to do sports. He sees the positive effects in me and he tries to keep up a little bit. And for me, I just have so much respect for my father, how he's dealing with the disease, because sometimes I can tell and I can notice that he's off or he has these symptoms. But still, he's doing these social things and making jokes and trying to make the best out of it. And that's just the way I'm also, he's trying to be as positive as possible, even though sometimes he has really bad days. It just gives me even more respect for my father than I already had, because he has always been my hero and he still is my hero. So,
yeah, wonderful to hear that you support each other. Yeah. When you had your 4th child, you already knew that you had Parkinson's disease. And was the pregnancy different from your other pregnancies from a physical or psychological point of view? Or what would you say?
Yeah, well, it was much different, I think. Already the decision to become pregnant was not a logical decision. Yeah, we need to really think it over. I dived into literature trying to find things that are positive and to see how to manage this best. But there's just so much unknown that it didn't really help. I had to conclude we don't know, and 50-50 chance to stay stable or progress in your disease. And that was my most important concern, because I already have 3 other kids and I don't want a new pregnancy to make my disease progress even faster and become a more disabled mother than if it wasn't than without the pregnancy. Well, still, of course, I was with a new partner and we share lots of love for each other. And what's the most beautiful share together is a child. So I decided to take the risk, but it was a difficult decision. Looking back, of course, I'm really, really happy with it because it all went well. But during pregnancy, I also had some days that I thought, was this the best idea? Because the physical impact of a pregnancy, of course, is heavy for every woman. And then already having 3 kids and just the physical impact, not sleeping well. My Parkinson's symptoms were getting worse and worse by the duration of pregnancy. And in the end, I was kind of concerned that it wouldn't get back to normal. But as soon as I delivered, I almost immediately was back to the state that I was before pregnancy. Then I started to fight back to regain my fitness. So I really started to work out pretty soon. And now I am more fit than I was before pregnancy, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's really fascinating. I'm really in awe of you. What you all managed to do with 4 children is amazing. Wonderful. Great. In many conversations with other people affected by Parkinson's, but also very personal, I have experienced that although we ourselves can live a very open life with Parkinson's, this does not necessarily also apply to our families. And everybody deals with the disease differently. How do you live with Parkinson's at home with your family?
Well, we try to live with it without it. I'm not suffering from that many disabling symptoms. We just live a normal life. It doesn't really impair us to do anything. I just do everything the same as before, actually. And there, of course, are some moments that I don't manage when I'm really off. The medication's really not working and I have to do a diaper like really quick. Well, it's not always really working out that well. So sometimes I scream out for help and then my partner or my kids will come. But my boyfriend is most of the time says, oh, you can do it yourself. And that really helps. Only when he sees that it's really not going well, he will take over. But in most of the times he just says, okay, just stay calm and you can do it. And then I'll manage anyway. So, and my kids sometimes notice my tremor. And then when they make me really mad or really need to hurry for school or something like that, then it gets worse, of course. And then they say, oh, mommy, don't stress. Oh, we'll help you. And it's fine. But sometimes they notice and then they just help me out. And yeah, and most of the times we just try to make some jokes about it or laugh about it or just don't take it too heavily, especially for the kids, They can look concerned, of course, when they see my hand shaking, especially my youngest son. He takes my hand and says, Mommy, don't shake, stupid hand, But then I need to explain, it doesn't hurt, it's not that bad. The medication will work in a couple of minutes and it will be gone. So yeah, sometimes it's difficult. I don't want them to worry.
I see the point. And I also think my kids, they are 10 and 13 years old. They are a little bit older. I realized it's also important for them not to have too much Parkinson's around their heads. And as you said, we also decided to have more a normal life at home. Try to live just a typical life as every family does. Yeah. And it's not so easy, but we'll manage somehow.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, of course. You already talked about your full life with 4 children, job and household and research work. Do you have any things that you would say that helps you to manage all that? Or did you also have some things you said goodbye to and said, well, I will leave that and I don't do that anymore in order to manage everything? Or are you just an all-round person?
Well, I always used to be an all-round person, so I just tried to keep up with what I already did. But I think my social life, maybe it's less than it was. I still have many friends, but I don't see them that often. But I think it's also COVID related because we all started to not see each other for a period of time. And then now we're just used to that life. So you need to rebuild that a little bit. But I do play hockey still on a pretty good level. And these women are all, of course, also my friends. So that's quite a social thing. But really seeing friends on myself alone, well, I don't do that much. My family is most important, my children, of course, my career and keeping my body in shape and how I manage to do it. I think I really enjoy things more than before. I live more consciously. Like I see the beautiful things every day, like in the small things. So maybe it's a little bit emotional, but I can when I am running through town and I see this beautiful sky, then I can just stop and make a picture. I really enjoy it much more than I did before. Or when I see my kids together, I can get really happy and emotional. I think, oh, look what I've got. I just really enjoy the small things in life much more and different than before, I think. So, because life actually is really beautiful. And I think Parkinson's gave me that I just see that better now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I also think that I don't take so many things for granted than before. And that I can see the little wonders in life that surround us. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Well, coming to an end, it's been really, really nice talking to you. Looking back from where you are now, 5 years after your Parkinson's diagnosis, what would you say to Annelien 5 years ago with the experience you have today?
I think I'm actually quite happy with how it went, and I don't think I would have wanted to know how I would be today. I think because I already had this positive, just see how life proceeds kind of attitude. I always have hope for the future. I just believe that within 5 or 10 years, this cure will come, or at least something that can stop disease progression or slow disease progression. And I just try to keep my physical situation as good as possible up to that day comes. I think only with hope you can live a positive and happy life. Just maybe it's ignorant or whatever, but I think it's the only way to deal with this.
It's not ignorance, it's optimism, of course.
Yeah, no, yes. I like to be optimistic. And 5 years ago, I would just give myself a shoulder tap and say, you're doing well.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine. And I don't want to look into the future. We'll just see what comes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. And the last question of my podcast is always, do you have any advice you would like to share with the listeners in the end? Some final advice.
Final advice. Well, for the women with Parkinson's, I'd say Parkinson's women unite and try to find people around you, other women with Parkinson's to connect to and share knowledge and share experience. I think that really helps. Try to be active in research so we can all help getting more information and eventually help each other on women's issues. Living with Parkinson's, always try to stay positive, even if it's that hard. There's always positive things in life. And move. Do a lot of sports because it's really helping me. I think that's quite the conclusion.
Yeah, it's quite a wonderful conclusion. Annelien, it's been really, really exciting talking to you. It has been really fun. Thank you for all the important work you do and for your inspiration you bring into the Parkinson's community. It's really, really wonderful. So take care and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, I don't think I promised too much, did I? Annelien is a really impressive woman, and I'm very thankful for her openness in sharing her personal experiences from the past years with us. And in particular, her view on women-specific issues is a very important point, which I also believe has been neglected far too often in recent years. And as promised, I therefore put the link to the survey for the Michael J. Fox Foundation website into the show notes. If you are a woman, it would be wonderful if you could fill out the survey. And any man listening now, feel free to participate by forwarding the survey link to women with Parkinson's. Thank you so much. Yeah, Annelien has really inspired me a lot. I'm very impressed by her brave and fearless attitude towards the disease. Maybe that's what we all need more often, to stay open, never give up, and above all, stay positive and live our lives as best as we can. Yes, I know, it's not easy, but still I believe it makes a big difference with which energy we look into our future, whether with fear or with optimism, with disappointment or with confidence, whether with resignation or with a spirit of adventure. It's up to us alone. So for today, I wish you a truly confident, hopeful and adventurous day. Take good care of yourself and stay on the positive side of life.